Okay, good afternoon to all. This is the international session of the TeleMediCare workshop. For many years, we have this workshop seminar. In the last 2 years, of course, in virtual modality, and now we continue in the virtual modality, and someone is present here in hospital of Desio, Pope Pio XI in near Monza in Italy. The topics of this workshop, of course, are very simple and useful. The state of the art of the product, systems and services of telemedicine, and in particular because we focus this morning and this afternoon on the disease, chronic disease and disability, telemonitoring and telerehabilitation methods and systems, in order to offer the patient with this big disease, chronic disease, the possibility to use this technology, digital technology, in order to follow continuously them at home or in the territory outside of the hospitals. This is the topic, the main topic of this conference, and I thank you, of course, all the speakers, all the attendants of this conference, and I give the speech to Professor Alberto Lazzèro. He is Italian, University of Turin, but he works also in France. Alberto, to you for the introduction about the aging people, disability people, and the digital technology. Now, just last word is related to the presence of Professor Helle Spindler. We are trying to collect some paper related to the telerehabilitation, and to propose these papers, scientific papers, in our country, in Italy, at the end of this conference, in order to propose these papers, to submit these papers for the publication in your journal or a new, I don't know, special issue of the telerehabilitation. Telerehabilitation is different of telemonitoring, of course, and this aspect of telerehabilitation is very important. We can introduce in these papers the use of the robots, the sensors, wherever, sensors and so on, in order to monitor and to assist and to rehabilitate the people even at home, outside of the hospital. Alberto.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Francesco. I'm very proud to co-moderate this session with you. This session is about aging, digital health, intelligent system, IoT, biosensor, etc. So I don't want to lose too much time since we are a bit late, and so I would like to introduce Dr. Barbangelo, that represent a French company that expands in France, but also in Italy and elsewhere. So I let the doctoress to introduce herself and to start her presentation.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you so much, Alberto. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm gonna do this very short presentation and trying to focus on the basic concepts of our model of service. So I'm gonna introduce my company. This is a French company. It's called H4D. And this company starts in France, and then we are expanding in the Italian market, and we are also in UK, Portugal, and Saudi Arabia. So I'm gonna share the presentation. Just let me know when you see it. Can you see it?
No.
Not yet.
Okay.
Share. Okay.
Okay. I think so
Okay.
now.
Yes,
Oh.
that's right.
This is clinical telemedicine service of patients. So I'm gonna introduce our model of service. I think it's very straightforward, starting with a very short video, just only 2 minutes, to provide a kind of idea, very general idea, with what it could be the patient journey. So I hope that it's gonna work, because I'm in a place where the connection is not so good. Okay. So this is the patient. The patient is very easily taking an appointment on our app. The patient on a day of appointment going to the place where it is located, our cabin. We will speak in detail about the cabin. The cabin, the person confirms his identity or her identity in this case. And then here, the doctor, it can easily connect with the patient. Then there are like 30 minutes or even more visits where we can perform different kind of examination. So from the basic ones, as you are seeing, like the automatic height and weight. And then, for example, is guiding the patient to take the blood saturation. Okay. Then there is the stethoscope. So the possibility to check the blood, to hear the heart and the respiratory. The oral exam. This is a dermatoscope, so is it possible to perform a full dermatoscope exam? And the doctor has a camera, 360 degrees camera, so it can see every part of the body of the patient. And then this is the hygiene system, because now we have an automatic UVC kind of hygienization of the cabin. In the cabin, there is also the possibility to print out the prescription in case the patient needs. So the patient has gone into the pharmacy to get the medicines, the drugs. And then the patient in every moment can access to her e-cloud, where there are all the data of the patient, of course, protected by all the GDPR and all data privacy guidelines. So this is just to provide a very brief idea. Okay, gonna back to my presentation. Okay, so here we are. So this idea was developed in 2006 by our president, Dr. Frank Boudinot, in 2006. Then it requires all these years, approximately 10, to get all the certifications, so European certification, ISO, FDA authorization. And then they started to the market in France in 2016. We're starting to the market in Italy now, as we were saying before. So is it possible to access into the cabin in 2 modalities? So one is televisit, as we have seen in the video. The other one is a kind of autonomous checkup. So there are kind of devices that can be used independently by the patient. So for example, you can take the blood pressure, the temperature, the oxygen saturation. So here I mentioned all the kind of examination that we can do within the cabin. So from the simple one I was mentioned, then we can perform also vision tests, hearing tests, retinography, glucometer, and then there are the kind of medical devices that can be used only under medical control, of course. So stethoscope, otoscope, dermatoscope, and there is also electrocardiogram. So which is our area where we can put this kind of cabin? So we can provide this for the companies, for the welfare of the company, for the welfare of the patients, the employees. So for example, we can suggest like kind of prevention program to provide to the employee on annual basis. Or it can be useful for the employees as a kind of to perform general visit in general practitioner visits or specialistic medicines. Or also occupational health. This is one of our focus in the business for the companies. During the COVID, after the COVID-19 pandemic, so when all the employees have to come back to their work, we provide also services related to psychologists and psychotherapists to employees who were suffering like some kind of anxiety and stress. And it was easy for the patient also accessing to the doctor also for other kind of needs, because for sure, you know, all the of the GP, it was not easy getting a visit during that time. So it was easy for employees seeing a doctor without having need to go to the studio, to the ambulatory of the doctor. Generally speaking, we have a satisfaction of 87% of our patients. But today I want to focus on another area which is very important for us, both in the market in France and as well in Italy, and is what is called the healthcare, let's say the healthcare territorialization. So the idea is, and what we are doing already this in France, is locating this cabin in all the areas where we are seeing what is called the desertification medical. So there are not anymore general practitioner, or we are talking about area where also, despite the fact that there are not anymore any general practitioner, we also have the problem of area where there are social issues. So general practitioner don't want to go there. So we are installing cabins in that area. So this facilitates access to healthcare and decrease the amount of citizens who are, for example, just, you know, looking on information, healthcare information on the internet. And we are creating a kind of, we are working also in cooperation with community pharmacies to provide the services to hold the population. Now we are more, this is not updated data, but we have more than 100 cabins installed throughout France, United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and Portugal. And this is not all. We are also performing scientific research. One of the focus of our scientific research is called telesemiology. So it is a kind of adaptation of traditional semiology by kind of integration with the possibilities of the telemedicine. So in this, what means telesemiology? It means that the doctor during the visit, where he is not seeing physically the patient, he has to guide the patient to perform particular kind of movements which can allow to perform a diagnosis. So it's very important, it's central in this kind of visit, the communication between the doctor and the patient. The doctor has to be very clear, and of course is trained before by our doctors, and the patient has to be cooperative with the doctor. So this is just a kind of example. So there are kind of movements that the patient can do to understand if he has a kind of neurological motion deficit. No. So these are all the movements. I'm not going very precisely through all of them. And now, based on this research, during all these years, we have realized 40 clinical protocols, published clinical protocols on this procedure, on the telesemiology. So I've been very, very quick. I hope that everything was clear. I'm here for any possible questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this presentation. I understood well about the possibility to use this product, this service in neurological rehabilitation or not. The last slides.
Yeah, the last slide. It could be a possibility. It could be. It depends, of course, on how critical is the clinical case of the patient. It depends on this. We cannot use a kind of cabin and telemedicine in all the kind of neurological deficits. but it could be a possibility. We have to explore this with the specialists. And of course, this is just generally speaking, everything that I showed during this presentation, but then we have to build up a kind of patient journey with the customer.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can just to give you a comment, I think
Sure.
it's really interesting when you spoke about the telesemiology, because we are now rethinking the semiology, classical semiology in clinical medicine, because of course when we are at distance, it's difficult to have a real examination. So it's important on one side the participation of the patient, his responsibility, his empowerment. But it's interesting because I have a discussion about this with a doctor that works with you as a consultant, and she gave me an example, an interesting example. For example, when we have a pain, an abdominal pain, it's quite difficult to examine an abdomen at distance. And the solution that they are thinking about is to, for example, to stand up and tap on your heels to move the peritoneum and reveal eventually a peritoneal irritation. So it's really interesting, this scientific side of telesemiology.
Yeah, I put an example, just on an example, talking about the neurodeficit, the neurological deficit. But of course, there are several kind of applications of these also on different kind of cases, like the one you mentioned. Yeah. And we are exploring also other kind of application, and we are always working to realize additional clinical protocols. So it's super interesting. It's still something, in my opinion, is still this kind of. So we are starting talking in Italy about telemedicine, fortunately, but telesemiology is still something not explored, still something unknown. But we are trying also to introduce these when we are talking about the cabin. Yeah, and it's important. And it could be very supportive, you know, to avoid like inappropriate access maybe to the emergency department. And yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there are any questions from the audience, or we can go on with Professor Glinkowski. If there's no one, I introduce Professor Glinkowski from the University of Warsaw, Poland. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Ah. Wojciech. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Hello. Okay. May I share my slides? I'm sorry for the Polish slides. It was very short notice about the conference, so I was not able to translate them in English. So osteoarthritis of the knee is most common osteoarthritis that is affecting quite a lot of patients older than 65, and it's 25 to 30% of all osteoarthritis cases. The next one is the hip and other joints. So there's a lot of problems with this disease. So we have developed the application, the telerehabilitation application, and it was based on the national project, and the platform was created to help patients who are not able to come to the rehabilitation department, and it allows us to treat the patient and monitor the patient, and show the patient the exercises, and let the patient also exercise offline. So then not necessarily with the contact with the physiotherapist, with a rehabilitation specialist. So mostly the older patients are the focus in this project. So we wanted to develop it as easy as possible to let the older patients to operate with the system. Usually, patient is able to just click on the application and open it, and all the parts of the interface were designed in an easy way. So there are some pictograms. The patient is able to click on the patient relations and exercises, and some storage of the previous and planned exercises. Here is on the screen you can see the our physiotherapists. In a small screen on the left-hand side, you can see two people discussing each other during the exercises. One person is a physiotherapist explaining the exercises and the nature of the exercise and the reason, and also the manner how the exercise should be performed by the patient. The easiest form, which is just watching the patient, how the patient is doing the exercise, is allowing us to see and correct exercises performed by the patient. We can also do the snapshot and measure the achievements of the patient on the snapshot, like range of motion. We can apply special application for angle measurement, and that can be done on the snapshot. We ask the patient to perform the exercise, and then we can evaluate the range of motion what the patient is able to do. Some samples of the exercises, and the set of exercises was prepared for every session of the patient. Just after login, the patient receives the scheme and the number of exercises planned for a particular day. So the patient could see the short clip about the exercise, how it should look like, and how it should be performed. And finally, the patient was asked also to perform several times the series of exercises. So there is a image on the left-hand side, the patient who is doing standing exercises utilizing the application. So we evaluated the use of this application, and we analyzed 32 patients with a knee osteoarthritis with the end stage of the disease. Those patients were planned to have the total knee replacement in the near future. They were in a waiting list for this orthopedic procedure. And these patients were before the attending the physiotherapy on remote program were taught how to deal with the application, how to switch on, switch off, and enter and utilize the exercises. And finally, they were asked to pre-program, and after the program, they were asked to fulfill several scores, and we could assess the final score. We used knee osteoarthritis scale, and you can see the testing before and after the program, with several scores improved after the pre-operative telerehabilitation system. We call it also prehabilitation, and at the moment this prehabilitation term was coined a couple of years ago. So recently it is well known and quite widely used as a new approach to the rehabilitation. So the prehabilitation as a pre-operative rehabilitation is usually, you can see here the sports activity with a significant improvement of the patients who could participate better final rehabilitation program, as well they were better prepared and more fit to the operation and to take the operation in a better condition. So we found several indicators of the clinical effectiveness improvement after the telerehabilitation, and several improvements of the parameters concerning in quality of life. So the mostly not only the quality of life, but also the social relationships and better walking abilities in those patients. Let me remind, it was a group of severe osteoarthritis with difficulties with walking, and they could walk better after the telerehabilitation project. So the telerehabilitation, we could conclude that can be the method that is supporting the standard rehabilitation. It may be separately used or together with the standard on-site rehabilitation, and it is possible to enlarge these services to other osteoarthritis patients with a special set of exercises. And the services with the telerehabilitation was very well accepted, and over 80%, and it was assessed good or very good by the patients. So thank you very much for attending and listening my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Glinkowski, for this presentation on telerehabilitation.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I couldn't translate in time.
It's really interesting to have these slides in Polish. This gives a further international tone to our conference today.
Very nice.
Is there any question from the audience?
I think this paper could be good to present in this topic, in this special issue of the Professor Helle.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is another evolution of the rehabilitation as a personalized medicine at home. So we can go on. There's a little variation about our program. So I can give the speech to Professor Bochicchio. Professor Bochicchio, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you also for
Bari.
thank you also for changing a little bit the program. But I have to take my class just after this short presentation. It was very interesting to hear previous presentation, and it would also be nice to make some questions, but we have no time, so my presentation will be very short. And I want to tell you about a new project which we started just a couple of days ago, 1st of October. This is a European project, a part of a large network named European Digital Innovation Hub, EDIH. Well, Dante is one of this European Digital Innovation Hub. It is based in Italy, but will offer services all over the Europe. And these services, as in the title, are about active and healthy aging. So technologies to support elderly people. The idea of European Digital Innovation Hub is that in the next 3 years, all over the Europe, a network will be established of a research group offering services to company and public administration. The final goal is to support digitalization in all fields of industry, and in particular, our goal will be to work in the health field, digitalization of health. The general manager and scientific coordinator of this project is Professor Pietro Siciliano, but unfortunately today it has been impossible for him to participate to this conference. I am one of the designer of this project, one of the creator of this project. I'm also in the steering committee, and I'm also the coordinator of two partners, the consortium of Italian universities working on ICT, CINI, and the University of Bari. We are both partners of this project. And so, as I said, the main goal of this Digital European Innovation Hub is to offer for free services to small and medium enterprise, to public organization, for example, municipalities or regional administration, or even national administration, and professional. We will select, obviously, a number of interested partners to work with, and we will work with them, we will partner with them to offer them 3 types of services. Support to funding. We will help them in writing European proposal, European project, or national project. This is the first family of services, support to funding. A second family of service will be about test before invest. There will be company or public administration interested in evolving, in digitalizing their business, in creating new products and services for elderly people and for disabled people too. Well, we will offer them a full set of services in order to put up their ideas almost for free, to be able to digitalize their ideas with our support. I will better specify who we are and which type of services we can give. So, education and training, test before invest services, and access to funding. This will be the 3 families of services we will offer. Now, the advantages of our solution, the fact that we have been funded and we have been awarded with respect to others, is that because we offered a presence over national territory and also other aspects, but I will be more specific later. And to be more specific about the technological sector in which we will operate, we want to work on wellness and comfort, on inclusion, on assistance, on safety, and on health and well-being of elderly people, of aging people, in order to avoid and limit as much as possible their the degradation of their condition, and in order to support people, hospitalized people, or people blocked at home because of specific disease. The Italian National Research Center, CINR, and CINI, the consortium of 50 public Italian universities working on ICT, and other partners are part of this large project, and we are able to offer services in all technological areas. We are able to create a new sensor. We work every day with artificial intelligence advanced technologies. We're working with man-to-machine interface, human-to-machine interface. We designed and created several actuators and several devices for elderly people. We have demonstration in Padua, we have demonstration in Bari, and so on. And we obviously work with information and communication technology. So we cover the full spectrum of digitalization of this type of device. We have two main groups of partners. 3 national partners: SMILE, which is a technological cluster funded by the Ministry of Innovation; CINI, which is the consortium of university; and NODE, which is a representative of the Italian industry in our project, Conf Cooperative. And then we have 7 regions directly covered, and all other Italian regions interested to join, which can join later in this project. At the moment, 7 regions are directly covered with this partner you can see here in the picture. These are the 7 regions. And that's it. The project just started. We have an international partnership. The idea of the European Commission is that public administration and companies and professionals who are interested in asking our services can connect to us directly. And if they are selected, they can receive almost for free, 95% free services of prototyping, training, and funding access. It will be a challenge for sure. Everything is still under discussion at the European Commission level, but we think it will be very, very interesting. We already have a very, very good collaboration with Francesco Sicurello. Thank you very much, Francesco, for inviting us in this occasion. And all participants to this event are invited to contact us. In the first slide, I put my references, because in the next 3 years, we will be an active part of this network of more than 100 European initiatives, similar to our initiative. We will work in Italy in the health field. Other similar European Digital Innovation Hub will work on other fields. Altogether, we will work on digitalization of European industry and public administration. Thank you very much, and I hope we will have a further occasion to exchange ideas and establish collaboration.
Thank you, Professor Bochicchio. It's really interesting to speak about healthy aging, active aging, and smart life. I think that is the principle of the Hippocratic idea of a lifestyle medicine, but this is an evolution with ICT, sensors, and other techniques to perform a better healthy life and healthy aging. Is there any question from the audience?
I think it's a very interesting project in ambient assisted living and so on. We follow the outcome and the result of this interesting project, and the impact, of course, to the patient, to the family, and so on. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and have a good conference. Please, please.
There's a question by Dr. Spindler. She has raised her hand.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that this is a really interesting project. I have been part of what we call the Transatlantic Telehealth Research Network for the past 5 years. It's been in operation for 10 years. And one of the things that we do, we've just had an annual conference, but every year we also offer PhD courses to help PhD students within this area. So if you think that those services could be of any interest to you, please let me know. We have an upcoming course which will be held in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't have the flyer on me, but I'll be happy to send it to you, Mario, and we can take it from there. Because I think, you know, the knowledge that we have already, I think would be welcome to share with you. And I know that Citrus from Berkeley University, they're actually they've been working a lot with projects within healthy aging as well, so there could also be some common interest there. So I just wanted to share this now, because I think getting the information out there is the first step to getting stuff done. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really interesting. It will be my pleasure to answer and to put you in touch with the whole organization.
Nice.
Do you have my email address? Please feel free to send an email so that we can stay in touch.
I will do that. Yes, thank you.
Very nice.
This is another demonstration that this conference allows the participant to make relationships and contacts to grow up together. Since I think Abid Gadira is not available, if Professor Spindler, if you want to make your presentation, if you want to, I give you the speech.
Thank you. I haven't had a time to prepare an elaborate, what you call it, a presentation, but I will try to present some of the stuff that we've been working on. If I am able to share it correctly. There we go. This is actually a website which shows you a little bit about what we've been trying to do. What I've been working on with my colleagues from Aalborg is telerehabilitation of cardiac patients. More specifically, heart failure patients has been a goal. And what we do is that we work with what we call user-driven innovation. So basically, this means that we work in close contact with our patients. So we set up workshops where we discuss what do the patients need, what type of digital technology makes sense to them. So we will present with prototypes and similar sort of mock-ups. And then we learn from these experiences. And based on this, we have created various websites that are accessible for the patients. They don't just, this is actually a picture of a patient who is working on from an iPad, basically. And on this iPad, they're able to access a lot of information, but they're also able to access digital data about themselves. So they will wear trackers. We're using Fitbits, but we're also using sleep monitors and various other types of technology, and then we sort of feed that information back to our patients so that we try to teach them how to interact or use the technology to help them increase their own self-care. Initially, we started out there's a series of projects by now. Initially, we started out because there was a problem of participation, or rather, a lot of cardiac patients were offered telerehabilitation or rehabilitation. They would either decline completely or they weren't able to carry it out over time. So we tried to work with the telehealth format in order to get them on board and get them to continue and actually be able to carry out a lot more self-care. And we've had some pretty interesting results. We think of what we do very much as a lab where I'm working with what they call the Laboratory for Welfare Tech Research in Aalborg University. And this is sort of we don't necessarily scale our project or implement them, but we test out various solutions. And then if patients or organizations who work with us want to implement these solutions, we of course assist them in that endeavor. But that is basically what we've been working on, and we're starting up a new project where we're going to go into working with patients with the atrial fibrillation, because this is a group of cardiac patients that are not receiving very much in terms of rehabilitation, but it seems that this group is actually in need of some sort of help and assistance. So we're trying to look at the platform we have, see if that makes sense for this patient group as well, and maybe make some adjustments that are very much in line with what they need. And just as Dr. Glinkowski presented previously, sort of having exercises and various forms of interaction with patients to help them and support them in their endeavor for more self-care. So these are the things that we've been working on, and if you're interested, there is a lot of stuff to read on these websites. And I also, if I can make it swap around, there is the American website for our telehealth research network, and I know that we are definitely interested in working with European organizations and smaller research groups, and as well we have this PhD program to support this. We found that collaboration is the key to moving forward, basically, and I'm sure that we would love to do it in any way possible. But the special issue that I was invited to briefly present was basically also an outcome of all of this work, where I was asked to guest editor an issue on telerehabilitation. And in my opinion, based on our experiences and what I also hear from some of you today, is that telerehabilitation could definitely, it may not completely change into telerehabilitation in all areas, but I think it will be an important supplement, or in some places what we will be doing in future. So therefore, I think gathering our information in special issues or in other ways, making sure that we share all of our experiences, all our knowledge in terms of what seems to be working well, what doesn't seem to be working well, I think will be very important in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Spindler. Thank you very much indeed to speak about this project, in particular this alliance between Europe and United States and scientists all over the world. I don't know if there are questions or not from the audience about this program, in particular on telerehabilitation, telecardiology. Anyway, I just would have the idea to
just one comment. We have experience at the Spindler in telerehabilitation of in the movement, in the walking, or in the rehabilitation for people after stroke. We can the problem of cardiological problem in these patients are very hard. We can cooperate together for this different aspect of the telerehabilitation service application.
Yeah, I think we would like to cooperate in any way possible. So let's keep in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Just let me show myself as well. Here I am, sorry. Okay, sorry, I'm on my kitchen, so this is my working space. Okay, let me share you the presentation. Just, Okay, so let me present myself. I'll be very shortly. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Antonio Augello. I'm a nurse, software developer, and research and developer working for the company Accyourate. Accyourate is an Italian company based in L'Aquila. Well, it has more bases, but basically it's based in L'Aquila, and is a completely Italian company working on a revolutionary device, wearable device. The name of the device is UCare. I first want to thank Matteo Botteghi for the invitation and our sponsor G&G Technologies and R13 Technology. R13 Technology is based in L'Aquila and is the manufacturer of the device UCare. Just speaking about the telemedicine and all the approaches and all the way to work in it, we built this device that I will show you today. First, I want to say that we are collaborating with many universities on this project, as University of Bologna, of Rome, of Chieti, and also international universities, as, for example, the Johns Hopkins University. Okay, here I am. So, what you see in this image is the body of what we call UCare. UCare is a device that allows us to, thanks to a smart wearable shirt or top or tissue or every kind of tissue with a printable ink that is a polymer, a special polymer that is electroconductive, and it allows us with this small device to get biosignals and with a really high quality. The functionalities of the UCare device are Bluetooth 5.1 low energy, and it allows us to get ECG and breathing traces, the temperature. It has as well an accelerometer, gyroscope, and a shock detection. We can think about the elderly and the main issue, for example, in at home or in a health environment like fall. And this is really important, actually, and really useful to have. It has an 8 MB of memory to allow us to collect data also if we don't have any Bluetooth available with us, like, for example, the smartphone run out of battery, so no problem because the device will keep collecting data. And it has an autonomy that is really high, like it goes greater than 13 hours, and it allows us to have a lot of data and keep monitoring the user for so many hours. So speaking about the dimension, it's really like tiny bit more bigger than a €1 coin. And it has, as I said previously, a 5.1 BLE, an accelerometer, a LED that will allow us to see the status, like Bluetooth connected or battery, or if the battery is low. And it has a temperature sensor on the back, and the electrodes are on the back as well. As I said, it has a 8 megabyte of memory that is really useful to save data if the smartphone is offline, and a button to turn it on and turn it off. So speaking about components, like we have a Nordic module for the Bluetooth Low Energy, and it has a 2 channels analog front end that one channel is for the ECG and one channel is for the breath. The breath is calculated by the bioimpedantiometry. The sample frequency is 250 Hz, so this means that each sample is collected for every 4 milliseconds, and they're sent through the Bluetooth Low Energy. So as I say, we can also save the data on the device itself and send them through the JSON packages that allow us to communicate with every IoT and clouds and platform of the day, because we know that JSON is the most common used for IoT at the moment, but also provides data packages that allows us to communicate with the smartphone and with every platform in a really quick way. So this is the tool that we use actually for diagnostics, and we can see that we can set different modes. So we can send only samples, we can send only heart rate, only temperature, only ECGs, like raw data or JSONs, and we can set, of course, the shock threshold. Otherwise, every movement would be a shock, and we don't want that. So this is an example of how the diagnostics tool works, and this is actually a real raw ECG and a real raw breathing trace, and we can see as the quality is really high here. And we can see as well here the accelerometers data, and on the X, Y, and Z axis, and these are actually 2 shocks we did manually, and we correctly detected them, and we can see as well the temperature and the battery level. So this allows the device tells us as well the battery level, and this is a test where the shock were correctly relieved. So what parameters can UCare actually take? UCare, thanks to this shirt or a top, or as well every tissue where we can print the ink, the polymer ink, we can get ECG, breath, heart rate, respiratory rate, body temperature, but as well we can calculate a lot of other parameters like anomalies, ECG anomalies, and respiratory problems, and we can get the HRV, the heart rate variabilities, that is so used as well in sport. And you can see here actually this is a real-time ECG took from the mobile phone with the mobile app that we build, and on the image on the right you can see as well the mobile app that is showing the data received from the device. Speaking about the signal, so it's really important this, because this actually is useful to understand how do we process all the data. The ECG and the breathing trace are processed inside the UCare device, and the method we use is as shown in this image. So we collect the raw ECG data, we filter it, we go to detect the air peaks and the QRS complex, and then we classify every bit. To filter the data, we use the Pan-Tonkins algorithm methods, but to detect the algorithms, to detect the peaks, we use a Pan-Tonkins modified algorithm that we are working on. We are improving it, and we are studying, and we did a lot of tests about it. So the sensitivity, as you can see here in the image, is very high. The accuracy as well, we're talking about 96.80% of sensitivity and 99.66% of accuracy. This is still a work in progress, so we are still trying to improve it. Let's skip some slides, sorry. Okay. Talking about bit classification, as I said previously, we are working as well on a real-time bit classification. So this means that we don't need to wait, like for example, a hospital alter, to wait 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to detect and to check some arrhythmias. But as you can see in this image, we are able to detect on real-time atrial and ventricular beats. Like you can see here, we detected correctly the atrial beats and correctly the ventricular beats. Also, this is still a work in progress. And as I said, we're working every day with the Johns Hopkins Hospital to improve it. Talking about the breathing signal, we also process it inside the UCare device. And as you can see, the trace is kind of clear already as it is, but we also, for this signal, apply some filtering, like moving average, moving mean average filter, and a Butterworth low pass filter to clean it and to have this trace that you can see here that is clearest and is easier to understand and to process. This is actually a real test we did, where on the blue you can see the filtered breathing signal, and we were expecting 50 seconds of breathing rate, and we correctly detected 14. So this means like we only missed one. It was the first one that, as you can see, is cut. So the algorithm wasn't able to count it. Next steps on UCare are applying on it machine learning to predict cardiac and respiratory disease, and speaking about the hardware, inductive charging. You can imagine like this device is really useful for, as I said on the start, on elderly. And it was really useful as well during the COVID time, where we did so many tests, and we were actually monitoring some COVID positive patients of the Chieti hospital, and it was very helpful, like for the hospital, to keep monitoring from remote the patients, having the ECG other than the temperature, the heart rate, the respiratory rate, because it gives us a 360-degree check on the person. And this is actually a really interesting device to use with the telemedicine, and it can go literally with every platforms, and it's really easy to implement because the device can send data through the mobile phone to every servers, clouds, or platform we want. And I would like to say thank you very much for the listenings. I think I don't have more to say about, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Augello. I think it's really interesting, this device and this application, in particular in atrial fibrillation. In particular, especially the paroxysmal episodes, because usually we have complications like ictus, etc. And sometimes it's necessary to have a good diagnosis to perform an invasive diagnosis. So it's interesting that we can use the device to detect paroxysmal episodes of atrial fibrillation. And even about the sleep medicine is interesting for sleep apnea, for example. So I think this device has the possibility to expand his application. Is there anyone who wants to ask something to Dr. Augello? I don't see any hands, any hand. Okay, so we can go on this point of the conference. May I introduce Professor Saporito and give him the speech. Professor Saporito, please.
Thank you, and compliment to Francesco, and you are today is your onomastico, and compliment for that, and a compliment for so long time conference and effort on this subject. It's not difficult to make a synthesis from one side. It's very difficult to have that. But in 2001, we start together also with a great initiative of United Nations, which call is Info-Poverty. It's a program, it's a conference. Every year is on UN headquarters in New York. You can see at the UN TV all these different conference. One of the targets we had was exactly the telemedicine, and was not so difficult from one side to understand the need and the capacity to solve. In 2003, at the Geneva summit of ICT, of the Society of Communication, we present the solution in ICT village in Africa. Info-poverty means how to fight poverty using the new technologies. So we transfer all the knowledge in many fields like ultrasound in little boxes, and we give to the midwife in some villages in Africa, and they use it linked with the local hospital and the national also. In particular, was very successful in Madagascar, and one of these villages, Sambaina, was proclaimed the UN Millennium Villages. That was so easy to understand by the midwife, the use of telemedicine with these devices, and the maternal care in particular was applied, and the decrease of mortality was extremely great. It's 85%. So that means just a little help with this have a great solution. But all this solution was not so urgent application, because telemedicine is a part of a great system of health, and the health system is very complicated, because it's industry, it's policy, it's government institution, it's hospital organization. And until now, it's very conservative. Conservative means the industry, they have this program linked with the hospital center of concentration, and the government is linked with the centralization of this system. The result, not in all the world, I think, because we have analyzed, is a very old system, very collapsing system, and the COVID demonstrates that. COVID demonstrates the hospital centralized point are not enough. The fact the solution are open to the speculation by industry, and the knowledge, the culture of the decision people are insufficient. So now we hope to accelerate. From Bari is just started for 3 days, but it's just something. Maybe it was necessary to start 10 years ago, but it's okay now. For our point of view, all the solution, just to tell how the thing can be applied, was with the Expo 2015, applying the agriculture field in the food security. So a lot of device and a lot of application was applying that. There was a European program, EVA Belt was approved. We are working now in 6 African countries. And that was easier because nobody cared about the risk of the vegetable or the animals, but of course it's much more sensitive in terms of human health. But by the way, the principle is the same, give a lot of results. And we are ready to support, to register, to promote any unifying activities. Unifying activity means that there are thousands of initiatives, but they are disconnected. And that means there are no one standard, there are no one policy, there are one model to be applied for the governments. So that is one of the arguments we will discuss the 1st December at the UN headquarters with at the InfoPoverty World Conference, the 22nd InfoPoverty Conference, and I'm sure we will invite some of the best eminent experts to discuss that. And hoping the consciousness and the capacity to apply this solution were not so new, because we know that. We need to have a unified system, we need to have a convergence, and we hope not to expect Google or Amazon, that they understood very well what it means in terms of business, that. And that is the evolution, in some way, the technology goes. And we hope will be social-oriented. Otherwise, it's another field where the speculation can operate, and we be in the same situation, the COVID, because the health system, in terms of global system, is not up to date. So thank you so much, Francesco, all of you, for this battle, and I will share by my secretariat the conference. You can find at occam.occam.org or occam.org. You can find all the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I don't know if there are any questions from the audience, and I ask also Francesco if there are any other participant, because I think Hassan Ghazal is not available now.
No. I want to thank all, of course, this last speaker, Pierpaolo Saporito of the OCCAM, United Nations in Milano. He is for many years involved in the development of the technology in order to avoid the digital divide between countries and between regions. It's very important to push in this aspect in order to develop better in each country the infrastructure in digital world, because if we want to apply system methods of telemedicine, we need to create the infrastructure in the WiMAX or other technology in order to permit the information to travel very quickly in sure modality, in safe modality, because over the network, traveling the data, very sensible data, images of people, of the medical data, very interesting and very sensible. Of course, we need to apply a system with the security and the privacy. I want to thank all of you and invite you to submit some telerehabilitation papers. Maybe Alberto, if you want, I send you the email. You collect this paper from Professor Glinkowski, from Elena, from Augello, from Bochicchio, and the other speakers, and the other colleagues not present in Mazzoleni, and the other people not present today. And I don't know, Professor Helle Spindler, how many papers you need for this special issue of telerehabilitation?
I think, as far as I recall, the last time I talked to the editor of the journal, it was 4 or 5 papers, something like that. And the deadline would be at the end of this year. So there is some time to prepare, but do send me an email off of this forum, and I'll be happy to answer any question that anybody may have. If you sort of you're thinking of writing up a paper that you think will suit this journal, please contact me. I'll be happy to try and respond to any questions you may have.
Okay, very interesting, because we need the form, the modality, the how many pages, and so on.
So yeah.
Thank you very much.
I think I shared the somewhere in the chat function. I think I shared the flyer for the special issues. I think you can find the information. Otherwise, it's the what's it called? The International Journal of Public Health and Public and Environmental Health. But please email me, and I'll be happy to help you in any way.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Alberto. Conclude.
Okay, thank you very much for to all the participants in these international sessions. That it was really interesting, and I think I can, as Francesco said, collect in any case some papers and interact with Professor Spindler in Denmark to go on this project to publish in this journal. I think we will have. I just want to announce that in December we will have our Congress of the AI team. So it's just to give you an idea that we have another appointment coming on in the next few months. So I thank you all people connected, and also the organization MedExpo, Matteo Botteghi and Silvia, that are as usual. They give us the possibility to organize and to follow this Congress also online and not only in presence. Thank you very much, all of you.